Borderlands 3 has some of the most accessible and most fun endgame activities, from the takedowns and trials to even hunting down the absurd amount of legendaries with seemingly endless part combinations. You'll never really want for something to do or hunt in the endgame of Borderlands 3. So, in the spirit of just how accessible it is, and so you can get to all that glorious farming and bossing as soon as possible, I'm gonna show you what I think is hands down the fastest way to get to Mayhem 11 on Zane and have a great base build to take on whatever strikes your fancy. So, obviously, I sold off all my Zane gear, emptied my bank vault, which was a freaking stupid decision in hindsight. Yeah, I kind of forgot all my vault hunters share a bank, so, yeah, rip 3 plasma coils, 5 tizzies, and all my goddamn pearls I was collecting. Anyway, so with all the stupid decisions out of the way and Zane in desperate need of a rebuild, let's get started. Here's the build if you're curious, and off we go. So with literally nothing going for us gear-wise, it's probably in our best interest to go drown our sorrows at Moxie's and tip her well enough until she eventually takes pity on us and gifts us a crit. No, literally, set the game to Mayhem 11 and big tip her until you receive a crit in your inbox. She also on occasion will send you a hail, but we are after this. The crit is honestly kind of broken for how easy it is to get, but now that we have it, we're going to turn Mayhem off and head over to the Handsome Jackpot DLC. So I never used to come grab a class mod first, but I find it worth it because it gives you just a little bit of extra damage that speeds up the farming for the other items on here. So head to the VIP tower with Mayhem mode turned off, or Mayhem 4 if you want some extra loot explosions. Take out Loco at the front door, who, fun fact, can actually just drop the mod for you, so if you get lucky, take it and move on. But if you aren't so lucky, head over to the elevator, drop your clone right here in front of the fountain, and just run around cleaning up the edges. This area isn't hard on base level with no Mayhem mode, but I'm doing this without a shield, so figured play it safe and let the clone do the work. Kill Freddy, he can also drop the Seein Dead mod, and head up the elevator. Seriously, the elevators may be the longest part of this route. From here, if you haven't already managed to pick up a mod that you're happy with, we're just gonna farm Jackpot. You can just farm him on Mayhem 0, and he's kind of a pushover, but if you want to farm him on Mayhem 4 for some extra loot explosions to pick up whatever else you may be looking for, just remember in Phase 1, his head is the critical zone, Phase 2, the hands are his crits, and Phase 3, we kneecapping old Jack. Head, hands, knees. Head, hands, knees. That's all you gotta remember. Alright, and essentially, no matter how many runs it takes, it should be pretty quick. He tends to crap out class mods. You're essentially just looking for any halfway decent Seeing Dead mod. For my purposes, I'm looking for the most damage I can get, so anything giving +3 or +2 in these 2 traits works for me. You can ignore some of the other stats on the mod itself. We'll worry about min-maxing those later down the road. Right now, we're just looking for any halfway decent mod. Okay, that's done, so let's get on to some weapons. So we are gonna head over to Athenas and run our butts over to Captain Tron. We are looking to farm a Mayhem 6 caisson from him. Feel free to run all the way over to him with Mayhem mode off if need be, but honestly, even without a shield, most of these areas the mobs are a bit slow to spawn in, and with Zane, you are gonna be gone before they can really start shooting. The Mayhem 6 caisson isn't actually a weapon we are going to be using for that long, but it is more of a vehicle to make the next step a bit easier. Don't worry about what kind it is, burst or full auto will do just fine, and at this stage, ignore the anointment. If you get a good one, even better, but if you get a bad one, don't waste the rerolls, we won't be using it that long. Trant can also be weirdly a bit stingy with this drop. This is the first Mayhem level that a caisson will actually appear. If you have a Schluter, I'd say use it. I deleted mine. God, that was dumb. But yeah, if you have it, just throw it on and it will make it a bit quicker. Also, quick little tip for Captain Trant on Zane, if you drop your clone in his face and move away, he will try to use all of his close range attacks on the clone and you get free shots at his crit zone. So farm him up until he finally pops out a caisson. This one's actually halfway decent and we are on to our next weapon. So from here, you're gonna jump back up to Mayhem 11 and head over to Atlas HQ. This boss run isn't terrible on Mayhem 11 with how slow the racks are to spawn, but if you happen to get stuck behind a badass, feel free to run over on Mayhem 0 and just change it back to Mayhem 11 when you hit this save station. Now, we are going to farm Katagawa Jr. for a Sandhawk. Technically, you can do this with Moxie's crit if you want, but with Zane having a lower chance to one-phase Katagawa Jr., I tend to prefer the caisson so I can tell where he jumps off to. Amara and Flack can kill him before he jumps. I think Moze can too. But with Zane, by the time you drop the clone, he usually just barely gets away. And also, fun fact, if he happens to land on this transformer in the middle, just give it one shot and it will kill him. You only really need to remove Katagawa's shields to kill him. You don't really have to deal deal with his health bar. So we are after a Mayhem 11 Sandhawk, and here it starts to matter a little bit which one you actually pick up and take. For most purposes, shock is good, fire is better, radiation is best. The burst or full auto feature isn't as important as the element, but if you are only staying to grab one, I'd say aim for radiation. But if you feel like spending a little while here, I'd honestly say pick up a few elements, maybe corrosive, radiation, fire, or honestly just get one of each if you really want to do that. Never really gonna go wrong with a Sandhawk, especially with how early you can get it into Mayhem 11 with limited gear. Katagawa can also be a bit stingy with this drop, but he happens to drop a handful of other useful pieces of kit, so make sure to take a quick look at what he does drop. A transformer is a great grab if you don't already have one. Alright, after a few more runs than I ideally would have liked, he finally dropped one, and it's fire. Not the best, but I'll take it considering it's a high capacity Sandhawk. And for my purposes, it should do just fine, I think. Alrighty, it's about time I finally grab myself a shield, and realistically, there's really only one you need. So we are heading over to Echelon Row for a Revolter. Echelon Row is the first Ava murder mystery side quest from the Director's Cut DLC, and we are here to farm Sumo at the very end of the map. 12 out of 10, I would recommend run there on Mayhem 0. Doing this without a shield was not happening. Your mileage may vary if you already have one, I don't. But honestly, it's easy enough to just hit the save station and jump yourself back up to Mayhem 11 once you're there. Now, the Revolter's perks are going to matter a little bit, but depending on how perfect of a roll you want, it could be the difference between a 10-minute farm or thousands upon thousands of runs. Killer 6 doing God's work trying to hunt down that triple absorb Revolter. For just a decent roll, I would say look out for Absorb, Turtle, Fleet, Vagabond. Any of those would work. You may only get one or two of these in a roll, but those should carry you for a while, and you can always come back and try to min-max it later. Now, this is kind of important on how we're going to actually farm him. Sumo can be a pain in the ass to kill, given he can regen all of his health since he's a Goliath, and ammo is a pain to refill down here from the chests that are scattered around. So, what I like to do is run over and drop my clone while I'm holding the Sandhawk. This will give the Sandhawk to the clone. Me, on the other hand, I will switch back over to the Caisson and let the clone do most of the work. Even with the max SDU, sniper ammo is very limited, and a full auto Sandhawk will delete it on you very quickly. I would recommend let the clone use the Sandhawk. It has unlimited ammo, and shoot either the crit or the Caisson to help him out. As you can see, the clone will absolutely tear him apart regardless of what you are doing to help out. And 2 farms later, we have a shiny new Revolter. This is not a good Revolter, and I usually would not keep this, considering also the anointment really doesn't help me because I don't use barrier. This is an example of one I don't actually know if I would keep. I would really look for some of those perks I mentioned earlier, but I'll make it work. All right, so we are nearly done. We have a class mod, a Mayhem 11 shield, and 2 Mayhem 11 weapons, and honestly, no real reason from here to ever leave Mayhem 11 again. But there is one more weapon that will solidify the base build, and I'm willing to bet you know which one it is. Okay, the last item we are gonna go get. As of now, we can retire the Caisson at this point. We are going after a light show from the Bounty of Blood DLC in the Obsidian Forest right around here. The light show is stupidly easy to get for how much of a powerhouse it is. Fast travel over to the Obsidian Forest and essentially run over here, drop your clone, and knock him out of the sky. Now, the light show comes in all elements, and I would highly advise, since you are here, spend the time to grab one of each element if you don't already have it. If not, and you only are looking for one, grab radiation. This will be the best bang for your buck at this current moment. Also, quick tip, make sure when you drop your clone, back up a little bit. You can get a path where he goes out over the chasm, and if you kill him out there, you can't get the loot. So make sure you go behind your clone and drag him into the arena. This will at least ensure that the freaking thing lands on the ground where you can actually grab it without going back to the lost loot machine. In this case, it took me 2 runs and I got a non-elemental one, because of course I did, but I'll make do for now. And yeah, that's legitimately it for Zane. These 4 items will take on most content in the game at Mayhem 11, and from here you can build and expand into whatever you want. A relic would be my next choice personally, but even without it, well, let's just test these 4 items only against the Malawan takedown. Quite literally just keep moving the clone up the map and it will literally kill everything. Oh, and if you see these shield guys, shoot them to break your revolter and shred everything in sight. Bye-bye, buddy. Quick reminder, in between areas, blow up your clone so you can use him in the next boss fight instead of just teleporting back to wherever the hell you left him in the previous map. Okay, see ya, Valkyries. Oh god, incoming visual pollution. Whatever you do, remember to grab ammo at vendors when you pass them. It's literally the biggest problem you will have with this little build here.
Definitely your target. Light that giant bastard up.
For this phase, just run in, drop the clone, and wait. Yep, that's all you gotta really do. So, yeah, 4 items, a Mayhem 11 takedown, and a decent base to build whatever you want from it. Honestly, it's kinda nuts how fast you can go from absolutely nothing to Mayhem 11 takedowns, and if you're curious from start to finish how long this took me, yippee! A little over 46 minutes. Not my best time, actually. I think the longest stretch was Katagawa Jr. because he was being stingy with the damn Sandhawk. So, yeah, to me, that's the fastest way I know to go from nothing to Mayhem 11 on Zane. If you have a faster route or want to see if you can beat my time with this one, let me know down below. I gotta record a personal best. I'm really trying to get that sub 35 minutes. Hasn't quite happened yet. The closest I got, I also died on the last boss of the takedown, which set me back quite a bit, but win some, lose some. Do it again. Anyway, if you enjoyed, maybe consider liking the video and subscribing. It would mean a lot to me. That still feels so weird to ask for. Anyway, see ya. Why the fuck did I drop all my stuff? God damn it.